Absolutely fabulous. Yeah, I've got a couple satellite uplink places right down the street. I was just in one for Press TV for an hour yesterday, and I do Russia Today as well. And in fact, that's where we learned about you. I'd seen your articles, but hadn't put two and two together. When I saw you on Russia Today, that was good.
Russia Today. Oh, Johnson's.
Well, you may not have. It was a phone interview, but you were on Russia Today. I saw.
Okay, okay. No, I did a phone interview with Real News. I think it was on Georgia about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, they must have picked a clip up of it and put it on Russia Today.
Okay, that can be.
Yeah, they tend to do that. Okay, well, that's fantastic. We're going to go live right now, and I want to talk about some of the victories we've had, and then I'm just going to give you the floor the last 5 minutes. Other hitting key points here for the listeners. Are you enjoying the radio interview?
Oh, very much. Very much.
Well, we really appreciate you. It's so hard to grasp how big and evil this is, just how real it is. It's so diabolical. It's like a comic book or something with what the evil mastermind comes up with. Okay, here we go.
I hope that you'll join me in this new sense of American security. Call efoodsdirect.com. That's efoodsdirect.com or 1-800-409-5633. That's 800-409-5633. Call them today. You'll be glad you did.
The American people are the guinea pigs. It's all tested here. The fluoridation of water, the mercury in vaccines, the sterilization. And the Rockefellers really got their power. 30-plus states had forced sterilization laws. They carry out their eugenics operations. They founded the Human Genome Project. Their head scientist saying blacks weren't human a few months ago had to step down, Dr. Watson. This is what they're up to. And they're playing God. And they are intelligent. They do have a lot of foresight. But when the people said no to human growth hormone in the milk, they just passed laws where you basically can't label it. Or when the people said we want organic food and started buying it, they just passed a law saying it can be 75% inorganic, genetically spliced, and they'll call it organic. So they're hitting us at every level. And they'll go in and pay $100 million payments to African countries just to get this food in. And folks all over the world are saying no, so companies have been caught illegally planting in places like Brazil. I mean, they want to get it in. They want to infest. They come in and plant their seeds, and they've caught retired Royal Mounted Police, literally throwing GMO seeds into the gutters by fields. I mean, this is bio warfare. 3 minutes left in this segment, then 5 in the next. You've got to leave us. Bob Chapman coming up. You've got the floor. I'm going to shut up. I've brought in my points. Other key areas we haven't covered.
Well, to go back to this project from the 1950s to give readers an idea, this project is very concrete. If you think of some vast abstract conspiracy, then you feel hopeless and overwhelmed. But it's very concrete, and I think that's important. That's what I try to do in all of my books, to give people a sense of the actual concrete individuals who are doing this, the actual concrete institutions, and so forth. And this agribusiness project, I think, is absolutely essential to understand. You go into a supermarket today, because of modern advertising, most American shoppers think food is grown in a supermarket, at the Giant or Walmart or what will you. And this is a product of something called agribusiness. You no longer have the possibility to go to a farmer's market in most parts of the country. Similar thing in Europe, although you do still have institutions in France, Germany, and elsewhere of these weekly farmers markets. Thank goodness. But more and more of those are getting agribusiness tomatoes from Holland or South Africa or whatever. But the vertical integration of the food chain in the hands of 3 or 4 giant multinational companies. The grain trade is in the hands of essentially 3 giant corporations. One of them, Cargill Corporation, is a private family-held corporation. The former chairman of it, Whitney McMillan, was a Skull and Bones member, along with the Bush father and son at Yale University. And they have more power than most governments. They determine the power, and this I documented in on-the-spot research, talking to principals involved at the European Commission in Brussels, in Belgium, back in the 1980s. They determine European Union grain policies. They were the ones who determined that the grain mountains would be eliminated in Europe and also in the United States, just in time for their policy of biofuels, burning corn, burning different crops like canola or rapeseed as automobile fuel instead of using it for the human food chain or the animal food chain. And what has that done in the last 3 years since 2005 and the Bush administration provided these huge incentives for biofuels to farmers? Half of the corn crop of the United States of America is burned for transport fuels. It's absolutely criminal. So this is the kind of thing that they're playing around with this agribusiness, this cartelization, monopolization of the food chain, and that is a highly unhealthy process for the human species.
All right, got a break. 1 minute break. Final segment with F. William, our guest, just an amazing researcher, F. William Engdahl. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. This is Warfare.
Thank you for listening to
I'm going to skip this 1 minute break, too. Yeah, for the internet listeners, William, we're skipping this little break right now. This thing goes up on prisonplanet.tv. They're watching live. They're listening live. Then it's magnified as it spills out onto all the web channels. And it's important, viewers, to not just put this up on YouTube and Google, but other tracks, because we've caught YouTube and Google erasing a lot of our stuff. Hit them there. That's where it goes viral. But hit the enemy at every other point. Let's come back and wrap this up for folks. The fact that this really is a military operation, as you said, and kind of go back to the beginning, back to the start, so we can recap. The fact that the eugenicists, as you document in your book and your research, started all of this, and then any other points you want to make in the final 5 minutes we have. Okay.
Well, Alex, I'd like to make one very crucial point. A lot of people are of the impression that this is all a question of corporate greed. Monsanto has corporate greed, Syngenta, Dow, DuPont, and so forth. It's not corporate greed. They wouldn't have taken such a high-risk
It's eugenics. It's their religion. They want to kill everybody. Stay there.
Yeah.
Come in and tell them. See, I never read your book, but I know the answer because they say they're going to kill us. Here we go. Now into the fourth and final hour. We've got Rob Chapman, international forecaster, coming in with economic news, 9/11 info. The last 5 minutes with F. William Engdahl, researcher, author. In the final equation, as you talk about in your book, this is not being done for greed. It's not being done for even power. It is their religion. They believe exterminating the vast majority of the population is the goal. So give us, lay it out, and it's in their own words. What is this really all about? Well, it's about supremacy, and the ultimate form of supremacy is genocide. Sir, you've got 4 minutes.
Well, I went through 4 years of university with some of the scions of these families, the Rockefellers, the Firestones, the DuPonts, and so forth. And they are not charming people on a one-on-one basis. I would maintain that they are, in a clinical, classical, psychoanalytical sense, these are highly paranoid people. They are terrified that the masses, as they see it, the hordes out there, are going to steal everything they've grabbed and accumulated over the decades. And therefore, I think they've gone to these lengths. And it's just it's a perversion that's taken on a life of its own. But it's literally at this point to the point where if we don't roll this back in some way or another, it may already be too late in terms of GMO. The genie may be out of the bottle. Some serious scientists think that may be the case. I think not, so long as in Western Europe there is massive resistance on the grassroots level against GMO. The governments have not been able to satisfy Monsanto and the other gene giants in terms of promoting this in Europe because there's too much backlash against it. They have had extreme difficulties in Asia, in China, in Africa, and so forth, and so they haven't gotten. They tried to pull something off at the Rome Food Summit in June. They made an extra effort to play up the world hunger emergency with the tripling of the price of rice, the basic food staple of more than 1.5 billion